Have you ever looked at a simple photograph and felt that it was just an innocent moment frozen in time? Two friends smiling, standing close together, laughing as if the world around them doesn't exist. It feels harmless, even comforting. But what if that very image, so ordinary at first glance, held secrets, hidden dynamics, untold histories, and moral complexities that no smile could ever reveal? What if beneath the surface of innocence lay a shadow that history could uncover, waiting silently for someone to notice? When we look at a photograph, we tend to see what is immediately visible, what is illuminated by the lens and frozen by the shutter. A photograph is often perceived as a neutral recording of a moment in time, a simple mirror of reality, and yet it is much more than that. Even the most innocent image, a casual snapshot of friends laughing, standing close together, smiling at the camera, can carry layers of meaning, some of which are invisible to the untrained eye. The human mind naturally seeks coherence, and when confronted with smiles, relaxed postures, and apparent harmony, it is almost impossible not to assume a story of genuine friendship. This is what gives such photographs their power. They tap into our innate trust in visual evidence, our reliance on appearances, and the comforting narrative that friendship equates to purity and honesty. However, the reality of any image is never limited to what the eye perceives. Every photograph is embedded in context, layered with unconscious signals, subtle gestures, and cultural cues that may contradict the apparent innocence. A casual glance is rarely sufficient to grasp the full truth, and therein lies the paradox. An image that seems harmless, even joyful, can conceal motives, affiliations, or intentions that challenge our most basic assumptions. It is as though the photograph itself holds a duality, offering both the surface story and a hidden narrative that requires careful interpretation. In this tension between what is seen and what is hidden, the photograph becomes not merely a document, but a psychological artifact, a window into both human perception and the obscured complexities of interpersonal relationships. Consider the role of body language within such an image. Posture, gaze, and proximity communicate information that may escape immediate notice. Two friends standing shoulder to shoulder may seem a sign of camaraderie, but subtle clues, such as slight tension in the hands, asymmetry in stance, or avoidance of eye contact, can betray underlying dynamics. A hand resting too firmly, a smile that does not reach the eyes, or a slight turning away of the body can suggest possessiveness, unease, or concealed emotion. These micro-expressions are fleeting and often subconscious, yet they are captured in the stillness of a photograph, preserved in a way that allows for retrospective scrutiny. While casual observers may interpret such details as unremarkable, a trained eye, or even an attentive historian, may begin to sense that what is visible is only a fraction of the story. The surface innocence is a kind of visual deception, not necessarily deliberate, but powerful in its ability to lull viewers into assumptions that obscure more complex truths. Objects and settings within a photograph contribute further layers of meaning, often reinforcing or contradicting the apparent mood. A background element that seems trivial, a particular location, a piece of clothing, or even the positioning of personal items may carry social or symbolic weight. Photographs are rarely context-free. They exist in time and space, and are subject to the conventions and realities of the society in which they were taken. A seemingly casual smile in front of a building may, upon historical investigation, reveal proximity to power structures, institutions, or ideologies that were morally or politically charged. Similarly, attire that seems ordinary might indicate class distinctions, societal roles, or covert affiliations. When historians or researchers study such images, they do not rely solely on the visual. They correlate it with diaries, letters, official documents, or oral testimonies to build a fuller picture. In doing so, The photograph's apparent innocence can be revealed as a veneer, a momentary mask concealing complexities that were never meant to be so visible, yet can be uncovered through meticulous study. This interplay between the immediate visual impression and the deeper hidden significance exemplifies how photographs operate on multiple levels. They document reality while simultaneously inviting interpretation, demanding that viewers acknowledge the possibility of unseen truths. The psychological impact of such images is profound. Humans are predisposed to trust what they see, yet they also possess an innate curiosity for the hidden, a fascination with secrets. When a photograph initially perceived as innocent is reinterpreted as concealing darker elements, it evokes cognitive dissonance, a discomfort arising from the clash between expectation and reality. This reaction is intensified when the subjects are people we might identify with, such as friends, youth, or individuals in relatable settings. The realization that appearances can be misleading challenges not only our perception of the photograph, but our broader assumptions about trust, morality, and the reliability of superficial impressions. In this sense, photographs function as mirrors, reflecting both the visible world and the observer's interpretive processes. They force us to confront the limitations of perception and the possibility that reality is layered, ambiguous, and sometimes disturbing beneath a benign exterior. Furthermore, the concept of surface innocence versus hidden reality in photographs resonates beyond individual images and taps into larger cultural and historical themes. Societies often construct narratives that privilege appearances, that equate visible harmony with virtue, and that overlook subtle signals of tension or ethical compromise. Photographs can subvert these narratives by preserving traces of what might otherwise be forgotten, revealing contradictions between public presentation and private reality. In doing so, they become invaluable tools for understanding not just interpersonal dynamics, but the ethical and social undercurrents of a particular historical moment. The innocent-looking photograph of two friends, upon careful analysis, can become a case study in human complexity, illustrating how joy and darkness, trust and deception are intertwined in ways that are rarely immediately apparent. Finally, the tension between surface innocence and hidden reality underscores the importance of vigilance, reflection, and critical engagement with visual media. In an age where photographs are ubiquitous and often consumed instantaneously, it is tempting to accept the first impression as truth. Yet, as history demonstrates, reality is rarely so simple. Even a photograph that evokes warmth and familiarity can be a portal to a more intricate, sometimes unsettling narrative. To understand it fully requires patience, contextual knowledge, and an awareness that what is immediately visible may only scratch the surface of deeper psychological and historical truths. The ability to perceive these hidden dimensions enriches our understanding of human behavior, history, and the subtle, often unseen forces that shape our lives, relationships, and collective memory. Photography is often considered a mere reflection of reality, a tool that captures moments as they are. Yet every photograph carries layers of meaning beyond what is immediately visible, and symbolism is the language through which these layers communicate. When we look at an image, we interpret it through both conscious and unconscious processes, assigning meaning not only to the obvious elements, faces, gestures, objects, but also to subtler cues, shadows, colors, positioning, and spatial relationships. Symbols operate on multiple levels simultaneously. They may signify personal intentions, social norms, or broader cultural themes. A seemingly innocent photograph of two friends can conceal a network of symbolic messages, each contributing to an understanding of the context in which the image was created. These symbols may be intentional or accidental, conscious or unconscious, yet they all play a role in shaping the photograph's meaning. They function as silent storytellers, revealing what the lens may capture but the eye alone cannot fully comprehend. Consider the elements within the photograph itself. Objects, clothing, gestures, and even the background can carry symbolic weight. A book lying on a table may suggest intellectual pursuits or personal interests, while certain colors in clothing can indicate social or cultural affiliations. Even the orientation of bodies toward one another can communicate intimacy, dominance, or distance. Symbolism in photography is not limited to the overt. Subtle gestures, a slight tilt of the head, a hand partially covering the face, a shadow falling across a figure can convey hidden emotions or power dynamics. For example, two friends standing side by side with seemingly relaxed postures may actually be engaged in an unspoken struggle for attention or recognition, reflected symbolically through their alignment, gaze, or hand placement. While these cues might escape casual observers, they are often decipherable by those trained to read the language of the image, or by historians who contextualize the photograph with knowledge of social norms, hierarchies, and historical events. Symbolism, in this sense, transforms an ordinary photograph into a text that can be interpreted, decoded, and understood on multiple levels. Historical and cultural context is central to understanding symbolism in photography. The meaning of a gesture, an object, or a setting can change dramatically depending on the time and place in which the photograph was taken. A hand gesture that appears neutral to a modern viewer might have conveyed allegiance, defiance, or conformity within a specific historical or political context. Clothing that seems ordinary may signify social class, professional affiliation, or adherence to cultural norms. Even the choice of location, a seemingly casual background of a park, a street, or a building, may carry historical weight, referencing institutions, social movements, or moral climates. Photographers themselves often embed symbolism deliberately, using visual cues to guide the viewer's understanding, evoke emotional responses, or highlight particular themes. In other cases, symbolism emerges unconsciously, shaped by societal conditioning, personal experiences, or collective beliefs. Whether intentional or accidental, these symbols require careful attention and contextual knowledge to interpret accurately, emphasizing the complexity and richness of seemingly straightforward images. The interpretive nature of symbolism also highlights the dynamic relationship between photographer, subject, and viewer. A photograph is never a neutral artifact. It is a product of human intention, perception, and cognition. The photographer frames the image, choosing what to include and exclude, what to highlight and what to obscure. The subjects within the photograph, even if unaware of symbolic implications, contribute through posture, expression, and interaction with the environment. Finally, the viewer brings their own cognitive frameworks, biases, and cultural understandings to the interpretation of the image. Symbolism operates at the intersection of these three agents, creating meaning that is simultaneously personal, social, and historical. For example, a photograph of two friends laughing together may appear innocent on the surface, but a careful reading of background elements, hand gestures, or subtle expressions might reveal unspoken tension, complicity in unethical behavior, or signs of social conformity. The symbolic dimension of photography thus transforms a static image into a dynamic narrative, one that is continually reinterpreted as new knowledge and perspectives emerge. The psychological implications of symbolism in photography are equally significant. Humans have an innate tendency to seek meaning and pattern in their environment, and symbols function as condensed representations of complex ideas or emotions. A photograph laden with subtle symbolic cues engages viewers on both conscious and unconscious levels, evoking intuition, memory, and imagination. This engagement can be compelling precisely because it operates beneath the level of overt narrative. The symbols speak to our subconscious, activating associations and emotions that may not be immediately articulate. For instance, the positioning of two friends in a photograph may symbolize dominance, subservience, or hidden conflict, which viewers sense intuitively even if they cannot initially explain why. The symbolic content of images can therefore resonate deeply, creating a sense of unease, curiosity, or revelation, especially when it challenges the initial perception of innocence. Finally, the role of symbolism in photography underscores the broader human tendency to conceal as well as reveal. Images are never simply records of events. They are artifacts shaped by intent, context, and interpretation. Through symbols, photographs communicate what is unsaid, offering glimpses into hidden truths, emotional undercurrents, and moral ambiguities. A photograph of two friends that seems light-hearted may, upon symbolic analysis, reveal hidden allegiances, psychological tensions, or ethical compromises. It is through this symbolic lens that historians and observers can uncover dimensions of human experience that are invisible to the casual glance. In this way, symbolism transforms photography from mere representation into a form of storytelling, a medium through which both innocence and darkness coexist, waiting for those willing to look beyond the surface. A photograph does not exist in isolation. It is a frozen fragment of time, a visual echo of a specific moment, yet the true meaning of that moment can only be understood when placed within its historical context. History provides the framework through which we interpret images, allowing us to distinguish between superficial appearance and deeper significance. What may seem trivial or innocent at first glance can take on an entirely different meaning when one considers the social, political, and cultural environment in which it was created. Every photograph is a product of its era, influenced by prevailing norms, events, and power structures, and it often contains embedded information that may remain invisible to those unfamiliar with that context. Two friends smiling in a park, for instance, may appear to capture a moment of carefree joy, but when examined in light of historical circumstances, perhaps a period of political oppression, social unrest, or moral conflict, the same image can reveal layers of tension, complicity, or hidden allegiance that transform its interpretation. Understanding historical context is not merely an academic exercise. It is an essential tool for uncovering the realities that lie beneath the surface of visual representation. Historical context shapes every element of a photograph, from the choice of location to the subject's attire, gestures, and interactions. Clothing, for instance, is rarely neutral. It reflects economic conditions, social status, cultural norms, and even ideological leanings. A uniform, a particular style of dress, or the presence of specific insignia can convey messages that might be invisible to a casual observer, but carry significant meaning within a historical framework. Similarly, the setting of a photograph, a particular street, building, or landscape, can provide clues about social hierarchies, political affiliations, or historical events. A simple park bench or a classroom, for example, might be charged with symbolic meaning when viewed in light of historical circumstances such as segregation, political campaigns, or clandestine meetings. Even gestures and facial expressions can be interpreted differently depending on the era. A casual handshake, a raised eyebrow, or a particular posture may have connotations tied to social etiquette, gender roles, or power dynamics that have evolved over time. Without historical context, these cues risk being misunderstood, overlooked, or dismissed entirely, reducing the photograph to a mere aesthetic object rather than a document rich with significance. The interpretation of historical context requires more than surface observation. It demands knowledge of the events, social structures, and collective consciousness of the period in which the photograph was taken. Historians, researchers, and critical observers often draw upon archival materials, written records, oral testimonies, and other photographs to situate an image within its broader temporal and societal landscape. By doing so, they can uncover hidden narratives, trace the relationships between individuals, and identify underlying power dynamics. For example, an image of two friends laughing together may, upon investigation, be linked to a time of widespread moral or political compromise, revealing subtle signs of complicity or conformity that were invisible to the casual observer. Historical context transforms the photograph from a snapshot of personal experience into a lens through which we can examine social norms, ethical dilemmas, and human behavior across time. It allows us to move beyond superficial interpretations and approach the image as a document that is both personal and historical, intimate and collective. Understanding historical context also sheds light on the motivations of the subjects captured in a photograph. People do not exist outside of their time. Their choices, actions, and interactions are influenced by prevailing conditions, pressures, and expectations. A gesture that seems innocuous may, in reality, be a response to social constraints, political coercion, or moral compromise. Two friends standing side by side may appear united and carefree, yet a historical lens might reveal one as holding secret allegiances or one as enacting a performance to conform to societal expectations. The photograph, therefore, captures not just a moment of apparent innocence, but a complex interplay between individual agency and historical forces. By situating the image within its historical context, we can begin to understand the unseen forces shaping human behavior, the compromises individuals make, and the moral ambiguities that define many historical periods. It is this depth of understanding that transforms the photograph from a simple record into a profound commentary on human experience. The psychological impact of historical context cannot be overstated. When we reinterpret a photograph with knowledge of the period, events, and social climate in which it was taken, the image acquires a new weight, often producing a sense of revelation or even discomfort. The realization that what seemed harmless may, in fact, reflect deeper ethical, political, or social truths challenges our assumptions and forces us to confront the duality of appearances. This process illuminates the tension between what is visible and what is hidden, between personal experience and societal influence, between innocence and complicity. It also highlights the limitations of perception. Humans naturally assume coherence and clarity in what they observe, yet history reminds us that appearances are frequently deceptive and that context is essential to discern truth from superficiality. Moreover, historical context allows us to appreciate the photograph as a historical artifact. It becomes more than a frozen moment. It is evidence, testimony, and a lens into the lived realities of a past era. Through careful examination, historians can uncover details that were invisible at the time, connect individual stories to broader societal patterns, and illuminate the ethical, psychological, and cultural dimensions of human behavior. Even a seemingly simple image, two friends sharing a smile, can provide insight into social norms, hidden hierarchies, and moral choices, offering a profound understanding of the interplay between individual lives and historical forces. In this way, photographs become more than aesthetic objects. They are records of human experience, capturing both the visible and invisible threads that define a particular time and place. Finally, the importance of historical context emphasizes the responsibility of the observer. To view a photograph without considering its temporal, social, and cultural setting is to risk misinterpretation and to miss the deeper truths that it may reveal. Historical context transforms the act of viewing from passive observation to active engagement, requiring curiosity, critical thinking, and ethical reflection. It is through this lens that a photograph can reveal its hidden complexities, expose moral ambiguities, and illuminate the often overlooked dimensions of human behavior, allowing us to see not just the surface, but the deeper currents that shaped the moment captured on film. In understanding the historical framework, we recognize that what appears innocent may conceal truths shaped by forces far larger than the individuals within the frame, and that the photograph, though silent, speaks volumes about the era it represents. Friendship is often perceived as one of the most straightforward and universally understood human relationships, yet beneath its apparent simplicity lies a complex web of emotions, loyalties, expectations, and unspoken dynamics. A photograph capturing two friends together can give the illusion of trust, camaraderie, and mutual understanding, presenting a surface narrative of innocence, joy, or solidarity. However, what is visible in such an image is only a fragment of the broader reality. Human relationships are shaped by layers of conscious and unconscious motivations, by competing desires, insecurities, and social pressures, and photographs often capture only a frozen slice of this multifaceted interaction. When historians or psychologists analyze images depicting friendship, they often discover subtle signs of tension, unacknowledged power imbalances, or hidden alliances that complicate the superficial narrative. What appears as carefree connection may mask manipulation, hidden rivalry, or moral compromise, revealing the duality that exists in nearly every human bond. The first layer of complexity in friendship lies in the psychological interplay between closeness and individuality. Friends are bound by shared experiences, common interests, and emotional investment, yet each individual carries a unique set of needs, fears, and ambitions. Even when two people appear to share a seamless bond in a photograph, subtle cues, such as posture, facial expression, or body orientation, may hint at underlying dynamics. For instance, one person may lean slightly toward the other, signaling admiration or dependency, while the other maintains a more neutral stance, reflecting control, dominance, or cautious engagement. These micro-expressions and gestures, often unnoticed at the moment of capture, become revealing when scrutinized, providing insight into unspoken hierarchies or emotional subtleties. Friendship is rarely symmetrical. It encompasses negotiation, compromise, and sometimes unacknowledged tension. A photograph, by freezing a single instant, allows us to perceive both the intended expression of unity and the subtle divergences that may indicate concealed complexities. Another important aspect of hidden dynamics in friendship is the influence of external pressures. Relationships do not exist in a vacuum. They are shaped by societal norms, cultural expectations, family influence, and broader historical forces. The context in which a photograph is taken can provide crucial insight into these pressures. For example, friends photographed in a politically charged environment may adopt outward expressions of solidarity that mask internal disagreement or private dissent. Similarly, friendships within hierarchical social structures may involve performative behaviors where one party conforms outwardly to maintain approval, access, or safety while concealing true feelings. These hidden dynamics can be further complicated by moral or ethical dilemmas, such as complicity in socially or politically questionable actions. In these situations, the appearance of innocent friendship may serve as a veil, concealing the difficult choices, compromises, or conflicts that define the relationship beneath the surface. The psychological dimensions of friendship also reveal themselves through issues of trust, loyalty, and vulnerability. True friendship involves a willingness to share oneself, to expose weaknesses, and to rely on another for emotional support. Yet such openness is rarely absolute. It is often accompanied by fear, hesitation, and strategic negotiation. A photograph captures only the outward presentation of intimacy, and while a smile or a casual touch may suggest warmth and mutual affection, it does not disclose the private negotiations of trust that underpin the relationship. Historical examination of photographs may reveal inconsistencies between outward gestures and documented behavior, shedding light on hidden loyalties, betrayals, or manipulations. For example, two friends who appear inseparable in an image may, in reality, be engaged in subtle competition for influence, approval, or recognition, revealing that appearances can be deliberately crafted to obscure true emotional realities. Understanding the hidden dynamics of friendship requires attention to both the visible and the invisible threads that connect individuals, recognizing that relationships are rarely as simple as they appear. Furthermore, the hidden dynamics of friendship often reflect broader patterns of human social behavior. Friendships are microcosms of societal structures, mirroring issues of hierarchy, power, conformity, and moral negotiation. Within any close bond, individuals navigate questions of dominance and submission, agreement and dissent, moral responsibility and personal gain. A photograph capturing two friends in a seemingly innocent moment may, upon closer scrutiny, reveal subtle cues of these broader dynamics. Perhaps one friend subtly controls the interaction, guiding gestures or expressions, while the other complies in a mix of admiration, fear, or strategic compliance. Alternatively, a shared smile may mask private disapproval or divergent intentions, illustrating how appearances of harmony can conceal deeper discord. These hidden dynamics are not merely psychological curiosities. They are reflective of the ways in which humans interact, negotiate social realities, and navigate ethical complexities in both intimate and public spheres. The historical and ethical dimensions of friendship further complicate the picture. When historians analyze photographs, they often discover that relationships previously assumed to be innocent are intertwined with moral or social transgressions. For instance, two friends pictured together may have been complicit in actions that later come to light as ethically troubling or socially significant. The photograph, in freezing a moment, preserves the outward performance of friendship while leaving the darker realities hidden until further investigation. This tension between visible innocence and concealed complexity underscores a central truth about human relationships. What is presented to the world is often a carefully curated version of reality, influenced by social pressures, personal fears, and the desire to maintain appearances. The hidden dynamics of friendship challenge viewers to look beyond superficial cues and to consider the multiple dimensions of human interaction that may not be immediately apparent. Finally, the hidden dynamics of friendship highlight the duality inherent in human relationships, the coexistence of affection and rivalry, trust and manipulation, openness and concealment. Photographs provide a unique lens through which to explore this duality, preserving both the outward gestures of connection and the subtle cues that hint at deeper complexities. They invite viewers to question assumptions, to reflect on the layers of meaning embedded in human interactions, and to recognize that innocence, while visible on the surface, may coexist with hidden truths that are revealed only through careful attention, historical research, and psychological insight. Understanding these dynamics enriches our perception not only of friendship itself but of the broader human condition, illustrating how relationships are both profoundly simple and intricately complex, capable of embodying warmth and darkness simultaneously. Photographs are more than mere snapshots of the present. They are portals through time, waiting to be re-examined, reinterpreted, and understood in ways that were often impossible when they were first taken. The true significance of an image frequently emerges only when it is placed under the lens of retrospective analysis. What may have appeared innocuous, light-hearted, or straightforward at the moment of capture can reveal layers of meaning, hidden relationships, or even moral complexities when examined in light of subsequent events, historical knowledge, or social changes. Retrospective analysis allows historians, researchers, and observers to see beyond the surface, uncovering narratives and truths that were invisible or ignored at the time. A photograph of two friends smiling together may initially be read as a simple record of friendship and innocence, but as new information comes to light, documents, testimonies, societal changes, the same image can acquire an entirely different, sometimes darker, interpretation. The process of retrospective analysis transforms photography from a static record into a dynamic tool for understanding human behavior, social systems, and historical realities. The power of retrospective analysis lies in its ability to juxtapose the immediate visual evidence with accumulated knowledge. At the time a photograph is taken, context may be incomplete, secrets may remain hidden, and the intentions of subjects may be unclear. Observers are limited by what they know in that moment, relying largely on surface impressions, conventional assumptions, and personal biases. However, as time passes, additional information becomes available. Letters, diaries, legal documents, news reports, and other photographs can provide context that alters the interpretation of the original image. Actions and events that were unknown at the time may illuminate previously hidden truths. For example, two friends captured in a carefree pose may later be revealed to have been engaged in morally or politically complex activities, complicating the initial impression of innocence. Retrospective analysis is therefore not merely an academic exercise, it is a process of reconstruction, interpretation, and revelation that allows observers to bridge the gap between appearance and reality. This process also highlights the limitations of human perception. Humans naturally seek coherence and meaning in the visual world, and the mind often favors surface-level interpretations that are comforting or easily understandable. Smiles, casual touches, and relaxed postures are interpreted as indicators of trust, warmth, and camaraderie, reinforcing the assumption of innocence. Yet photographs are deceptive precisely because they freeze only a moment, providing no access to preceding events, subsequent consequences, or hidden dynamics. Retrospective analysis challenges these assumptions, forcing viewers to confront the reality that appearances can be misleading. It reveals that the truth of human relationships, moral choices, and social interactions is often more complex than the immediate visual cues suggest. By revisiting images with historical, social, or psychological knowledge, observers can uncover contradictions, subtle power dynamics, and moral ambiguities that were invisible to the casual or contemporary eye. Another dimension of retrospective analysis involves the identification of patterns and correlations. Individual photographs rarely exist in isolation. They are part of broader networks of events, relationships, and social phenomena. When examined alongside other images, documents, or historical records, a single photograph can reveal trends, connections, and causal relationships that were not apparent at the time of capture. For instance, repeated gestures, recurring locations, or consistent body language across multiple images can indicate underlying relationships, hierarchies, or hidden tensions. In the case of two friends, retrospective analysis may reveal that what seemed like ordinary expressions of intimacy were actually markers of allegiance, social compliance, or strategic interaction. By situating the photograph within a larger framework, researchers can uncover narratives that span time and place, revealing the interplay between personal behavior and historical or social forces. Retrospective analysis also plays a critical role in ethical and moral evaluation. Over time, society's understanding of right and wrong evolves, and behaviors once overlooked or normalized may later be scrutinized with greater rigor. Photographs, in this sense, become moral texts, preserving the visible traces of actions, gestures, and affiliations that can be interpreted in light of contemporary ethical frameworks. Two friends who appeared innocent in a photograph may, decades later, be understood to have been complicit in ethically troubling behavior, or to have benefited from structures of inequality, oppression, or exploitation. Retrospective analysis thus enables a moral reading of the past, revealing hidden consequences, responsibilities, and patterns of complicity that were not evident at the moment of capture. It underscores the idea that appearances are provisional and that understanding often requires reflection, research, and the passage of time. The psychological impact of retrospective analysis is profound, as it often forces viewers to reconcile the tension between perception and reality. Discovering that a seemingly innocent photograph conceals darker truths can provoke shock, curiosity, or even discomfort. This reaction highlights the human fascination with hidden realities and the tension between what is seen and what is known. Retrospective analysis engages not only the intellect, but also the imagination and moral sensibilities, inviting viewers to reconsider assumptions, empathize with historical actors, and recognize the duality of human behavior. It encourages a more nuanced understanding of relationships, social structures, and historical events, revealing that innocence and darkness can coexist within the same moment, the same gesture, and even the same image. Finally, the power of retrospective analysis emphasizes the enduring significance of photographs as historical and psychological artifacts. They are not static representations of fleeting moments, but living documents that acquire meaning over time. Through careful examination, photographs can reveal the complexity of human behavior, the interplay of morality and circumstance, and the subtle dynamics of relationships that were invisible to the casual observer. A seemingly innocent image of two friends becomes a case study in perception, historical insight, and ethical reflection, demonstrating that the surface narrative is rarely the full story. Retrospective analysis transforms photography into a medium through which the past speaks, offering insights that challenge, illuminate, and deepen our understanding of both history and human nature. Humans are inherently drawn to the hidden, the mysterious, and the forbidden. Secrets have a magnetic pull that engages the mind, the emotions, and the imagination in ways that the obvious or transparent cannot. This fascination is both psychological and cultural, deeply rooted in our desire to understand, control, and anticipate the unknown. A photograph that appears innocent at first glance can become a powerful site of intrigue when the possibility of a hidden story is suggested. The image of two friends smiling together, casually posed in apparent harmony, may capture attention precisely because viewers sense that there is more than meets the eye. Even without concrete evidence, the possibility of concealed motives, hidden alliances, or undisclosed conflicts creates a tension that compels closer scrutiny, reflection, and speculation. Humans are not satisfied with the surface. We instinctively probe for the invisible layers of reality, for the stories that are not immediately told, and for the truths that have been deliberately or unconsciously concealed. The psychological roots of this fascination are complex. Humans possess a natural cognitive bias toward uncertainty and ambiguity, which triggers curiosity and a desire for resolution. When confronted with a situation that seems simple but hints at complexity, our brains instinctively attempt to construct a narrative that accounts for both the visible and the invisible. This process is fueled by pattern recognition, memory, and associative thinking. Viewers unconsciously search for clues in body language, facial expressions, contextual elements, and environmental cues, attempting to infer what is not explicitly stated. In the case of a photograph, subtle gestures, a slight tension in the hands, the direction of a gaze, the space between two people, become triggers for speculation, prompting viewers to imagine possible stories behind the apparent innocence. The presence of a secret transforms the image from a static representation into a dynamic puzzle, engaging both conscious and unconscious cognitive processes and sustaining attention far longer than an image without ambiguity or hidden meaning. Culturally, secrets carry symbolic and narrative weight. Societies have long recognized that concealed knowledge is both dangerous and valuable, inspiring fascination, fear, and desire. Stories, myths, and historical accounts often revolve around the revelation of hidden truths, the uncovering of betrayal, or the discovery of moral compromise. This cultural framing shapes how viewers respond to images that suggest concealment. A photograph of two friends, which may initially seem innocuous, gains depth and intrigue when the viewer contemplates the possibility of secret histories, hidden loyalties, or undisclosed actions. The tension between the visible and the hidden mirrors the human experience more broadly. Our lives are full of unspoken thoughts, unseen motives, and invisible influences that shape our decisions and interactions. The photograph becomes a microcosm of this larger reality, offering a glimpse into the interplay between appearances and hidden truths, and evoking an emotional response rooted in both curiosity and apprehension. The allure of secrets in photography is also tied to the ethical and moral dimensions of human behavior. Secrets often involve choices, compromises, or actions that are not meant to be seen by others, suggesting an element of transgression or deviation from norms. When historians or observers identify the hidden aspects of a seemingly innocent image, they are confronted with the duality of human nature, the coexistence of virtue and vice, openness and concealment, innocence and moral ambiguity. This duality enhances the fascination because it challenges assumptions about trust, honesty, and transparency. The viewer becomes an active participant in the interpretive process, reconstructing potential narratives, considering motivations, and grappling with the ethical implications of what might have been hidden. A photograph that initially appears straightforward thus becomes a site for moral inquiry, inviting contemplation about the boundaries between public presentation and private reality, and about the complex ethical landscape in which human relationships unfold. Historically, the discovery of secrets in photographs has often reshaped understanding of events, individuals, or relationships. What was once dismissed as a benign or mundane image can, upon closer examination and the uncovering of contextual information, reveal unexpected alliances, covert behaviors, or hidden consequences. A photograph of two friends may later be recognized as capturing a moment of complicity in a broader social or political context, or as revealing the subtleties of hierarchical or moral negotiation. The fascination with these secrets is magnified by the retrospective lens, as viewers are able to connect the visual evidence with historical knowledge, testimony, or documentation that was unavailable at the time of capture. The hidden story transforms the photograph from a simple representation into a repository of knowledge, mystery, and revelation, bridging the gap between surface appearances and deeper historical, psychological, and moral realities. Emotionally, secrets provoke a mixture of curiosity, anxiety, and excitement. Humans are drawn to mystery because it stimulates engagement and reflection, creating a tension that must be mentally resolved. This tension is heightened in photographs because they freeze a moment in time, leaving the viewer aware of both what is shown and what is absent. The absence, the concealed, the unspoken, the hidden, becomes a powerful attractor, prompting imagination and speculation. The viewer may wonder about the relationship dynamics, the intentions, or the circumstances surrounding the image. This interplay between visible content and hidden meaning mirrors broader psychological experiences. The tension between what we know and what we fear to discover, the anticipation of revelation and the emotional resonance of uncovering truth. Secrets thus operate as a psychological magnet, drawing the mind into exploration, interpretation, and moral reflection. Finally, the fascination with secrets highlights a central tension in human perception and knowledge, the coexistence of surface reality and hidden truth. Humans are compelled to investigate, decode, and understand what lies beneath appearances, not only because of curiosity, but also because knowledge of hidden realities has practical, ethical, and emotional significance. A photograph of two friends, which may initially suggest simplicity and innocence, can become a profound study in human nature once its secrets are revealed or suspected. The hidden story, whether known fully or only partially imagined, transforms the image into a lens through which we examine perception, morality, psychology, and the interplay between individual behavior and historical forces. It demonstrates that innocence, while visible on the surface, is always entangled with unseen currents, and that human fascination with these currents is both inevitable and revealing. Secrets captivate because they reflect our own experiences of ambiguity, curiosity, and the perpetual tension between what is shown and what is hidden, making them a timeless and powerful force in understanding both photographs and human life. This photograph, like so many moments captured on film, reminds us that appearances are only a fragment of reality. What seems innocent is often layered with unseen meaning, shaped by historical context, symbolic cues, hidden relationships, and unspoken tensions. It challenges us to question the surface, to look deeper into gestures, expressions, and settings that may conceal truths. Human fascination with secrets drives us to uncover what lies beneath, to bridge the gap between perception and reality, and to confront the duality of human nature, the coexistence of innocence and hidden darkness. Through careful reflection, retrospective analysis, and a willingness to see beyond what is immediately visible, we begin to understand not just the photograph, but the complexities of history, morality, and human relationships. Every image is a silent story, and every smile may carry shadows that speak to the intricate, sometimes unsettling truths of the human experience.